Please share with me in the chat. I really want to know, did you play as hard as you worked this weekend? What did you do for fun? What did you do to de-stress? What did you do to kind of just relax and enjoy yourself? Please share with me in the chat. What you do this weekend to de-stress so that when the alarm went off this morning, you were excited to go back to work. You were ready to go back to work to create, to be your best self, to expand, to grow, to develop, to add some much needed value in the world. So how did you feel this morning when your alarm went off? Were you happy and excited, or did you dread waking up, going to work today? So if you were excited, it means you're in the right role and you're enjoying what you do and you are de-stressing and managing your stress, which is very important if you're going to be productive in the workplace. If you dreaded it, now it's time to figure out what is going on in your life that is stopping you or preventing you from living your best life and adding some much needed value in the world through being creative in the workplace, because work is an opportunity for us to create, for us to grow, for us to develop, to add some much needed value in the world by being a part of a bigger mission. Each company has its own mission, so you're a part of a bigger mission. And so you want to get someplace that you're excited to wake up and go to every day, particularly on Monday mornings, because the most heart attacks happen on Monday morning when it's time to go back to work. And so on Mondays, if you're dreading going back to work this work week and it is a constant feeling, let's make some changes, because the quality of our life matter more than anything else. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome, Work Life Warriors. Today, of course, I am going to give you another tip, tool, trick, or technique to manage stress. And so I'll go ahead and get started. I am Ebony Davenport, and I teach stress management. I show people how to utilize fund management solutions to decrease stress and counter burnout so that they can be happier, healthier, and well balanced. I use over 50 tips, tools, tricks, and techniques to manage stress. But today we're going to talk about attitudes. So, first, we're going to start off with a little stress education. What is stress? Everybody knows what stress is, but it's kind of hard to talk about, right? Because it's hard to pinpoint. We all have different ideas and different definitions of stress, and there isn't one single unifying definition in the literature. In Eastern philosophy, stress is considered the absence of inner peace. In Western culture, it is the loss of control. Stress is problematic because it's ambiguous. Stress definitions differ, stresses vary, affecting people's minds and bodies differently. So, again, what is stress? Let's blend the Eastern philosophy and Western culture definition and say that stress is feeling out of control instead of inner peace. And there are 3 steps. There's perceiving a threat, which is called appraisal. There's coping with it and adapting to it. In the stress community, we talk a lot about stress being a relationship between a person's perceptions, needs, and abilities and the conditions of the environment. So, how we perceive control over our environment causes stress. There are 2 different types of stress. There's distress, and that's the stress we're normally talking about when we say we're stressed out or this is stressful or I'm in a stressful environment. We're talking about distress. That is the bad type of stress. But there's also eustress, and that is considered the good type of stress. That is when you get engaged or you graduate or you go on vacation or you have a long-term family member or friend coming in to, stay with you for a little while. All of these are good stressors, but regardless of if it's a good stressor or a bad stressor, too much stress at one time often is bad for your body, is detrimental, regardless of your perception of it. So you want to manage how much stress that you're actually experiencing throughout the day. When a stressful event occurs, it activates the fight or flight response. This triggers the release of stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. If the trigger is perceived as eustress, the good stress, the psychological responses and production of the cortisol are short term. If the trigger is perceived as distress, we are ready to react with quick instincts and thinking, but our systems do not go back to normal until the perceived thought is eliminated. So if you're constantly in environments where you're being triggered, you have so many stressors, and it's a stressful environment, then your severity, duration, and frequency of stress will affect your body, because little annoyances, everyday annoyances, are still stressors, and it still impact your body, equivalent to maybe 4 big events hitting you, stressful events hitting you throughout the year. So we still have to deal with the major stressful events in addition to the small petty annoyances. So we want to manage our stress, because too much of it, regardless of your perspective of if it's good for you, or if stress is good for you, or if it's bad for you, the severity, duration, and frequency will impact your body. So there's a way to, of course, manage stress, and that's what we're talking about today. Stress management is honoring the pause. When something happens, we consider it a stimulus, right? When a stimulus occurs, many of us react on autopilot, right? We kind of react without even thinking about what we want, what our needs are, what the consequences may be. It's just kind of instant stimulus, and then instantly we, react. Stress management is honoring the pause and realizing that there is an opportunity to pause. So when there's a stimulus, you can pause, think about your wants, your needs, the consequences, the other person, and respond instead of react. And responding is so much more powerful than reacting, of course. So, stress management is mindfulness and prevention. And we want to think about how our stressors are putting us outside of the present moment, whether it's in the past or in the future. When we think about stress, how we cope and respond determines how it affects us. We know when we feel stressed, but without stress management education, we do not know if we are, or if our actions are offsetting or inducing long-term consequences. Mindset can predetermine our interpretations and responses to events, circumstances, and situations, since it is a collection of thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs that affect what we feel, say, and do. We can reform our thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs positively. One way to change the perception of stresses is by adjusting our attitude about the stressor or stress in general. Our response to the world is a learned behavior, is a learned habit. Our habits are hard to notice because they're just physical pathways in the brain, and that's kind of the autopilot we were talking about earlier. These pathways channel electricity from our information inputs to our positive or negative brain chemicals. Our pathways were built from our unique life experiences. The positive and negative experiences of our past pave neural pathways that channel our electricity today. So, and that includes like what we're thinking, how we act, how we feel. And so, one way to combat that is to think about our attitude. And our attitude is a disposition or manner regarding a person or thing. So, what we think and collectively think and feel about a person or thing. Perspective is a collection of a person's assumptions, beliefs, facts, and experiences which form a point of view. So it's the way you look at a situation. And of course, the way you look at a situation comes from the way you have experienced life thus far. We use our senses to selectively relay information about the environment to our brain and categorize, label, and interpret the message. After we have made judgment about our circumstances, we make decisions and take actions based upon how we view the situation, followed closely by an attitude. Humans naturally perceive sensory input to understand their environment and make meaning out of their experiences, because it is our life. We are living. So the only way that we can live is through our experiences. So all of our perspectives and attitudes and beliefs and values come through us. They are filtered through us. So we all face many challenges throughout life. It doesn't matter what resources you have, you cannot live without facing hardship or challenges. The question is, why do so many of us handle it with ease and others stumble consistently? It starts with being open, right? It starts with your perspective. It starts with your attitude, what you value, what you believe. It starts with the thoughts that are constantly streaming through your head, whether positive or negative. Opening our minds to a new thing or person or a new way of thinking in ideas often scary because it is unknown. Anything unknown sends a danger message to our mind, which causes our body to react and can cause stress, of course, because the unknown is stressful, right? Think about it. Most of the things that we fear don't happen, but we still produce cortisol just by thinking about it. And so it's really important for us to monitor our thoughts and to be mindful about what we're thinking and what triggered those thoughts, so that we're not constantly producing cortisol, which again uh, affects our mood, our behavior, the way we see things, the way we act, and it's all connected together. So we are less likely to consider what good can happen from new experiences and events because what has happened to us in the past because of our past experiences. And so your attitude may stand in the way of you experiencing something that can replace what happened to you in the past or what you think will happen in the future. And your attitude can stop you from experiencing all of the good things that you actually want because it is unknown. So the mammalia survival system is simple. That was a lot of S in one sentence. A chemical that feels good is released when the brain sees something good for its survival, and a chemical that feels bad is released when it sees something as a survival threat. And so just think about the work environment or your family or your community. Constantly, we're seeing things that could be perceived as a threat, which means that we're releasing either feel good chemicals or uh, not so well in small doses chemicals that are good for us, but over long periods of time can hurt us, right? And so, with knowing that, you want to watch the attitudes that you have about certain things, just the beliefs that you form behind certain things, because it prevents you from from updating your experiences or your thoughts or your beliefs or whatever it is behind this particular experience that you're having. So many of us have bad attitudes and we go in expecting that things will not work out, that we manifest that very experience, right? And so, and it's kind of a way to keep us safe because we know what the bad feels like, right? Living off the land, our brain is negatively wired. So the bad keeps us safe. We know what that feels like. The good, however, is a little harder. It's kind of unknown to us. And so it's hard for us to kind of even expect that good things can happen when we're constantly faced with negative things that hold more value than positive. When something bad happens, you remember it more and it actually causes you to change more than if something good happens. So with keeping that in mind, it's you being mindful about the attitudes you form about the experiences that you have, whether it's things or people or any new thing that presents itself to you. You want to, one, either check your attitude, or two, check your attitude against the new experience that is presenting itself to you in the present moment, right? Um, as we age, we gain new experiences, and our perception often shifts toward the negative again, because the world is a very fearful place. And so you go through so many negative experiences, and over, your brain to tell you positivity is not an option. You should expect negativity. And of course, the human brain is biologically wired to focus on the negativity just to keep us safe. So when we think about our current or future situations, we use it as a reference point when we really should be in the present moment, thinking about what is happening now and using it as a way to update what we think we know or what we have already experienced. Our mind isn't great at perceiving all the possibilities at once. So it is very important to be open and open to new ideas, even if we think that they are out of the box. The world couldn't evolve if it wasn't for the creative, out of the box thinkers, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the creators who made the world that we lived in. That we live in. We need these pioneers to challenge the status quo and to push the limits. The way we learn new things to think is sharing and learning new information from each other. So you do not want your attitude to stop you from learning something that can potentially benefit you, your mindset, your family, your community, your work, because you have a negative attitude or outlook or perspective on that thing. So our goal of, well, I know my goal, and I will assume that no one wants their mind to be chaotic or their experience here on earth to be chaotic. So everyone's goal is inner peace. And inner peace is directly affected by the way that you view the world around you. There are many ways that allow you to view the world from different perspectives to shift your attitude. Consistent practice allows us to cultivate attitudes that support serenity and focus on the positive. Over time, a person's attitude will shift from negative to positive. And one of the easiest way to do this, to me, is gratitude. Gratitude is an easy technique. It's just to find the good in each situation. Gratitude can be an attitude. It is a way to choose to change your patterns to support your new attitude. So when something happens to you that can be perceived as negative, it doesn't have to be either or. It can be and both. So it could be negative if that's how you naturally perceive it, but go out of your way and try to see the positive in it as well. Ask yourself, what can I benefit from this? What can I learn? What is positive about it? So therefore you have a more balanced perspective or attitude or outlook on this particular thing, as opposed to just what you've learned. We can choose to instill habits every day that improve the quality of our lives. We are wired to think about all the bad things that can happen, did happen, will happen, but we can choose to remain in a state of gratitude. Developing a attitude of gratitude is one of the simplest way to improve happiness and satisfaction in your life. Would you agree? Please share with me below. Would you agree that changing your attitude could positively affect your life, change your life, improve happiness, joy, peace, and all of the good things that you really want in life? So remember, it is your responsibility to manage stress. It isn't anyone's responsibility. They won't do it for you because they do not benefit. You're the only person who benefit from managing your stress, and it's in your best interest to do that. And there's so many tools, tips, tricks, and techniques out there that you can use to manage your stress, to help you get on track, to help you live the type of life that you want to live. You just have to be willing to put in the work and to practice and to study and learn. It's just that simple. So go out of your way to play, to practice stress management, make it a priority. It is not optional. When you are not practicing stress management, it means that it is impacting your health, and you do not want stress to take you out of here. It is said that 90% of all doctor visits are stress related, and a lot of disease and illnesses, the catalyst is stress. And so it's your responsibility to manage your stress and use all of the resources available to you so that you can improve the quality of your life. So as always, I hope this helps. Please share with me your thoughts, your beliefs. Share with me what you've been doing to work on your attitude. As always, I'm here on Mondays giving a tip, tool, trick, or technique to manage stress every Monday. On Wednesdays at noon, I do the wellness work break where we practice deep breathing for 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know if you're on your break or lunch, so I try to keep it within 15, 20 minutes. So we'll do some deep breathing exercises to help you renew to get back to work. On Fridays, Fun Funny Fridays, I do laughter yoga at noon to help stimulate you, renew you, and get you prepared for the weekend, to get you in the mind state of play and fun. So please join me either Monday, Wednesdays, or Fridays at noon. Also, if you're interested, I said that I teach stress management. I show people how to utilize fun management solutions to decrease stress and counter burnout so that they could be happier, healthier, and well balanced. I use over 52 tips, tricks, and techniques. I also host a stress management fun shop every third Saturday of the month. October tickets are already done. So now it is not November 19th. So if you're looking to come out to one of the fun shops, I'll give you at least 15 of those tips there. We take about 25 minutes for stress education. And the last hour and a half is a party. We talk about implementation. We play games and talk about how we can incorporate this into our everyday life, and not just talk. We practice and we party. We have a very good time. So if you're interested, just check out my social medias, and I will see you on Wednesday, Work Life Warriors. I hope this helps.